In this lesson, we'll learn how we can use a layer mask to mask out a section of video to be played in our project. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so in the previous lesson, we learned how to animate our Papa's Surf Shop logo just by using a couple of keyframes and a transition fade. So we'd like to go ahead and finish out our tropical themed video by fading everything to black, and then as we're fading to black, we'd like to use the silhouette of the logo itself to show another video. In this case, we're going to use a time-lapse video of the sun setting over the ocean. So feel free to follow along as we take a few steps to achieve that visually. So the first thing I'd like to do is come over here in our timeline panel and click on our little film strip button, and we're going to go to Add Media, and we're going to grab our time-lapse video. Okay, so I don't want our logo and our time-lapse clip to be in a group together. I'm actually going to click on the logo layer and drag that outside of that group. Okay, and we can actually scrub through this time-lapse video just to see how it looks. This is a video that our own Kyle Green shot over a period of time in Hawaii. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is go ahead and turn off the visibility just temporarily of our time-lapse video. And on our logo layer, I'm going to go ahead and right-click on the thumbnail for that layer, and I'm going to go to where it says Select Pixels. And now we can see that we've selected all of the pixels that make up that logo on our logo layer. Okay, great. Now let's go ahead and jump back up to our time-lapse layer. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and hit this little button down here at the bottom of our layers panel, and that's going to allow us to add a layer mask. And you can kind of see how it basically is using now the silhouette of the logo, and we can see within that silhouette our video of the time-lapse sunset. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is go ahead and we're going to create a new layer, and we're just going to go ahead and hit that little button right there at the bottom of our layers panel. And on this layer, I'm just going to go ahead and fill it with black using our paint bucket tool over here in our tools panel. Okay, excellent. And what I'd like to do is actually drag this layer to another area that is not within video group 1. So we may actually want to drag it below. Okay? We'll go ahead and kind of scoot it over right there. So this is going to basically be the black that we fade out to. Okay? Okay, so the next thing I want to do now is start to basically reorganize some of these different clips in our timeline so we can start to really edit together this overall fading out to black using that silhouette. So let's go ahead and kind of move our current time indicator back in time here. And I'd like to grab our time-lapse video and maybe drag it to right about there. Okay. And if we start to scrub through, we can kind of see that transition take effect. Now it's very abrupt, that transition with the logo. So we may want to add some sort of fade on the logo clip itself. So coming over here to our button containing some of our different transitions, we want to maybe grab this fade with black. We'll place that there. And that's going to work nicely with our fade down here that we're about to add to our beach clip. So we're going to add a fade to black there. And so as we've added a fade to black to both our logo and our beach clip, we can see them both start to work nicely with that black filled layer. Very cool. Now that time-lapse video is still kind of hitting abruptly. We can kind of see that abrupt change. So let's go ahead and add some sort of fade on the time-lapse video itself. So we'll just go ahead and add this fade right here. And so that feels just a lot more natural. Now we may want to come on some of these different transitions that we've incorporated and kind of adjust the length of them. And so now that we're doing that, I'm just kind of coming back through, grabbing my current time indicator and just kind of scrubbing appropriately. So we can go ahead now and we'll actually start from the beginning. We can hit play. just so we can see how everything is now working together. Very cool. So now let's go ahead and have a look at the final rendered video. Even when we preview it here, it's not going to play it completely at full speed to where it looks just nice and fluid. So let's have a look at the final rendered video. And so once we have our video up, we can just go ahead and click play. And we can watch the whole thing together. So there we have our logo, and then a nice transition. And so using that mask worked out very well. Just masking out that logo and then adding that video in there of the time-lapse sunset worked very nice. So this final rendered video is actually included in your reference files if you want to go ahead and play that and have a look at it as well. And feel free to come in here and make any kind of additional changes to this project. You may want to take it and push it even further using masks and just coming in here and using different keyframes or different transitions, or you may have some additional footage yourself. But again, I encourage you to really experiment with a project similar to this. In the next lesson, we're going to go ahead and change gears and explore how we can use layer styles, how we can animate with layer styles in the video timeline panel here in Photoshop. So stick around and we'll see you then.